from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. It is St. Paddy's Day.
Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. Yeah.
I guess. I don't. I don't understand. I never have understood. I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole, but I don't understand adults who dress up.
Oh, I know.
I just don't get it. I really don't. Anyway, I'm no fun. But I did want to offer this. You know, there's been this long-standing mystery about the Crichton leprechaun. Do you remember this? About I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago, this story went viral. What viral looked like back in those days. People were talking about it. It's like almost like the Loch Ness monster, Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
The Crichton leprechaun in the Crichton neighborhood in Mobile, Alabama. And I think I may have solved it. I had forgotten about it, and I think I may have solved it. And I posted on X to see if the good people of Mobile think this person fits the description. But just so you know the backstory on this St. Patrick's Day, here it is from a local network affiliate in Mobile.
Well, just in time for St. Patrick's Day, crowds are coming by the dozens to get an up-close view at what some say is a piece of Irish folklore.
Some people in the Crichton area of Mobile say a leprechaun is taking up residence in their neighborhood. What? A leprechaun. NBC 15's Brian Johnson has more.
Curiosity leads to large crowds in Mobile's Crichton community. Many of you bringing binoculars, camcorders, even camera phones to take pictures.
To me, it look like a leprechaun to me. All I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else seen the leprechaun say yeah?
What?
Eyewitnesses say the leprechaun only comes out at night. If you shine a light in its direction, it suddenly disappears. This amateur sketch resembles what many of you say the leprechaun looks like. Others find it hard to believe and have come up with their own theories and explanations for the image.
My theory is it's casting a shadow from the other limb.
Could be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff, and it told him to get up in a tree and play a leprechaun.
We're going to get down to the bottom of this. Yeah, it's still on there, guy. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, man.
This guy helping to direct traffic says he's prepared for his encounter with the leprechaun. He's suited up from head to toe.
This wars off spells right here. This is a special leprechaun flute, which has been passed down from thousands of years ago from my great-great-grandfather who was Irish. I just came to help out.
Others just came to get lucky in hopes a pot of gold may be buried under this tree.
I'm going to run a backhoe and uproot that tree. I want to know where the gold is. I want the gold. Give me the gold. I want the gold.
This is Brian Johnson, NBC 15 News.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
If you look at the artist's rendering of the eyewitness account of the Crichton leprechaun...
Does it look like the character in Lucky Charms cereal?
No, it looks eerily similar to Lori Lightfoot when she dressed up as a leprechaun and went to the Plumbers Hall event a couple years back, including the little fedora she had on. She also sort of looks like a crackhead who got some of the wrong stuff. So I'm just saying.
Did you tweet this story out? Because I want to see the artist rendition. Yes,
yeah, the artist rendition. It's quite something. And I'm just saying, I'm just trying to help. Because as far as I know, the Crichton leprechaun mystery has never been solved, and the gold has never been found. And maybe, just saying. Tom Weitzel is a retired chief of police of Riverside. Now it's time to get a little bit more sober on this St. Patrick's Day, something that will be two of the few in Chicago. I can say that. Tom Weitzel joins us now. Tom, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy.
St. Patrick's Day, I saw you tweeted a favorite day of law enforcement officers.
Yeah, honestly, they hate working St. Patrick's Day. No matter where you're at, it's really a day that starts at 7 a.m. in the morning, and when it's over the weekend, you're assigned to work it. Make no mistake, everyone works those events, and they even pull people out of plain clothes and put them on the street. And all you deal with all day long are drunks, fights, disturbances, suburbanites, kids coming downtown for sure in droves, usually on trains, and it's just complete chaos. And the instructions from most of the supervisors are really like, just get rid of them. Like, don't make arrests. Just disperse them, take their alcohol, and tell them to move on. That's the whole strategy.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to do like a thing in Chicago where you have like a sort of an all-inclusive holiday. So we have like Mexican Independence Day and St. Patrick's Day and the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and I don't know, maybe Casimir Pulaski Day too, although that's actually honoring something.
Yeah.
And it's more paczkis than it is alcohol. So I don't know if that's, but I don't know, something where we just have all of the big days combined into one, and we have a big mob fight at Grant Park or something to commemorate it.
Yeah, it's a terrible. Those events are terrible. But every year there's officers hurt. Now, it might be not something you see flashed all over the news, but the thing is, you have several officers that are hurt during those events, and what does that do? They're off duty. They're on workman's comp. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't know why they don't make arrests. I mean, same with the Gay Pride Parade. People are hammered out of their minds. You can see them walking down the street. They can barely walk, and why just not take them into custody?
Yeah, that's a really good question, but really the answer to that is only take in the worst, and that's broadcast to the officers at roll call, or you meet out on the street if you're assigned a block area, and they're like, hey, only take in the worst, because when we have to take in the worst, we're putting people off the road. We're having to call the paddy wagons. We have to take them in. So just get rid of these kids and take their alcohol and tell them to get lost. In some cases, they'll cite them for underage drinking, under the city ordinance or a village ordinance. But that's pretty rare, too, because honestly, Amy, that means nothing. It's like getting a parking ticket. It's really a waste of time.
Maybe you could do like an intergovernmental agreement with the federal government and perhaps the El Salvadoran government to either send them to Gitmo or El Salvador.
You're right.
I mean, just a thought. All right, let's talk about a couple of serious matters, some of which we've highlighted on the show, but get law enforcement perspective on it. Some of the legislation that's bouncing around among the noblemen and magistrates in Springfield that seems a bit curious if you're interested in promoting public safety. We talked about this one last week. I don't really understand. I mean, it's just bizarre. Legislation that would reduce the distance that a convicted and registered sex offender would have to stay from a school. Now, I don't know if 500 feet has any sort of magical power, but I also don't know why someone would spend any time legislatively trying to reduce that distance.
Yeah, that is crazy. I think they want to reduce it to 250. I don't know the theory behind that, but I know that when we used to arrest individuals that would do that, usually they would rent apartments too close to schools. For example, in Riverside, the state's attorneys used to make us go out with a laser measure, and we had to measure the front door of that apartment complex to the property line of the grade school or high school, say, for example, when I was in Riverside. And if it was outside that, they were okay. If it was 499, they got arrested. So they were very precise on what to do with that. And now all of a sudden they want to put it to 250. I heard a comment the other day from someone that said, well, they're putting too many sexually convicted offenders into the same buildings because of the distances from parks and schools. And I'm like, okay, so that's okay. That's the reason behind this. You want to allow convicted sex offenders to live closer to make it easier for them to find somewhere to live?
Yeah, I like the idea of aggregating them, too. That seems like an interesting local problem. If you have an apartment complex that has a disproportionate number of registered sex offenders, whatever that number is, the whole thing seems bizarre to me, particularly since we know about the recidivism rates with respect to sex offenders.
Right, and they would, these sex offenders, I could tell you, they would hit, most of them, when we came in contact with, they weren't employed, to tell you the truth, and they would walk around during the day. And, I had a community, just for my community, we had 5 grade schools in a suburban and a high school. You couldn't walk, 5 or 6 blocks, and you're at a park or you're at a school. So was it restrictive? Yeah, it was restrictive, but it was meant to be. Like, you don't want them living within that distance and to be able to walk to the park or the playgrounds. I mean, I don't know what the theory is to that.
What about House Bill 2764 that would give all prisoners, even those sentenced to life in prison for murder or rape, the opportunity to apply for parole after 35 consecutive years of imprisonment?
Yeah, that's just a way to empty. That's just a way to empty the prisons and save money. And those are initiatives by prison groups that want to say that, okay, you've served your time. You're probably older. You went in your early 20s. You're now in your mid 50s, maybe to 60s. You should be able to go, even though apply, even though you're convicted and your sentence was either forever or your sentence was 80 years, whatever it might be. And this is a way for them to alleviate the prison population, and they think give people a second chance, which I don't agree with. I mean, then why have these sentences in the first place? And one thing they never mention ever, and you tell me if you've heard it, they don't ever mention the victims or their families. Like, they never talk about victims or families in these bills ever.
Right, and not to mention the promise that was made to those victims and families, family of a murder victim, that this person will never see the light of day again. And then here we have legislators come in to obviate that promise. Yeah, it's never. Well, this is a General Assembly. This is a political ruling class that is not oriented towards victims of crimes. That's pretty obvious. What's your view on? Now, I don't know if this is going anywhere, but it's always a process. Things take some time, but the left is always pushing them. And I'm talking about the decriminalization of prostitution, which, move to decriminalization, then we'll get to legalization, but only for people that need prostitutes for medicinal reasons, and then we'll go to full prostitution. So what about decriminalizing prostitution? How would that be?
I think that's ridiculous. It's not a victimless crime. And all right. Say you couple the prostitution statute that they proposed that they want to get passed, and now they want to reduce sex offenders to 250 feet of schools and parks. I mean, where are we going with this? What are the purposes of these types of current statutes that make it illegal? To say that, you're absolutely right. They're going to go down if this proposed legislation for the prostitution passes. There's going to be more following. It's going to be getting to a location here in Illinois that prostitution is completely legal. That's the goal. That's the end goal.
No, there's no question. It's the goal. You need the revenue. You set up brothels next to the marijuana dispensaries, next to the abortion clinics, next to the currency exchanges, next to the video poker halls. Now where you're really cooking with fire. Something else I wanted to get to, the legalization of beating up police officers. That seems a bit counterintuitive.
Yeah, that's probably the worst piece of legislation I've ever seen. I served on the Illinois Chiefs Association Legislative Committee 15 years, and they used to always come to the Police and Sheriff's Association and say, hey, we're thinking about proposing this legislation. What do you think? Could you support it? They don't do that anymore. It just shows you the disrespect they have for law enforcement. And I can't believe that the Representative Davis would not only propose that, have carve-outs for all the other exceptions that are in there, firefighters, paramedics, correctional officers. Her husband happens to be a Chicago firefighter. And my thing was, maybe it's going nowhere. It got put into rules, but it got two sponsors. I think
Kelly Cassidy and Marcus Evans.
Yeah. I mean, so it might not go away. But what kind of mindset would one of our elected officials in Springfield have that they would even propose this legislation, that their mind would process that it be legal, a legal defense to batter police officers, because every defendant would come to court with their attorney and say that they had a legal right to batter the officer. You would be having people lined up with doctor's notes out the door. And
yeah, they will.
I don't know. It's crazy.
They will say that this is. You believed you were having a mental health episode when you battered a police officer, and you have a documented mental illness. But even and you have a documented mental illness is really opens Pandora's box on this.
And isn't that a issue for the judge or the courts? Isn't that they should not take the arrest power away? That's for a court to decide.
Exactly. There's no need for the legislation if these one-off incidents where they would actually happen. Then that's exactly right. You'd have expert testimony, and it would be decided on a case-by-case basis. This grants sort of a blanket defense, and it incentivizes. And once people learn about it, it incentivizes this as a crutch for people who are just violent. And I mean, there's no question. You're right about that. There's no question. It's crazy. But
well, I mean, read it. They'd legalize physical attacks of police officers if the officer should have reasonably known the assailant was having a mental health episode. This is just part of defunding police, because who's going to want to sign up to be a police officer in Illinois?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And think about those legislators that don't want the police to respond. They want social workers to go there first. Really? How's that going to work? I mean, some of their logic is I can't even figure it out.
Tom Weitzel is the retired chief of police from Riverside. Tom, thank you as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much. Have a great morning.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Maha starts with Virago, making America healthy again. With the worst flu season in years, you need an immune system boost. The stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights and defends against so get Virago. Virago Immune Enhancement Support is a unique blend of 23 nutraceuticals, ingredients that have been available as individual nutraceuticals, but now working in synergy to maximize their effects. Recommended by medical physicians, dentists, and other healthcare professionals, Virago is the nutraceutical cocktail for immune support. Developed to strengthen your immune system for quick response